I'll treat my credit card as my debit card.
Okay.
I've been using credit card for 4 years. I have not paid a single late fee.
Okay.
And I have amassed close to 4 to 5 lakh reward points. Credit card has a lot of positives, right? It gives you a lot of, so you use it properly, it's the best financial tool available. But and when time comes to pay back, you don't have money to pay it back, right? Because that's the money, you spent money that you don't have, so you won't be able to pay it back. So that's where problem arises.
Okay.
There's a robber who enters your house every day, which is called inflation.
Okay.
Whatever lock that you put, he'll just come in, sneak in, and he'll, without even knowing, you'll keep on losing your money every year. Apps that we use on an everyday basis, Google, Facebook, Meta for that sake, Apple, right? So all these cool brands which are perceived very cool in India are all listed in the US stock market. So 100 rupees if you keep today, the robber comes every day, and after 10 years if you see, the value of the 100% would be 40 rupees.
40.
Right? The 60 rupees is gone. So
we have heard a lot about the Indian stock market. Continuous trend, it keeps evolving, right? So today's trend is US stock markets. So what's your opinion on US stock markets and people getting, having very less awareness on Indian stock markets, and they just directly jump into the US stock market? What's your take on that?
Yeah, it's a very pop culture, right? Because the apps that we use on an everyday basis, Google, Facebook, Meta for that sake, Apple, right? So all these cool brands which are perceived very cool in India are all listed in the US stock market. The college kids that are getting into stock markets, they want to invest. So there's a very good saying that if you want to pick stocks, I would not advise anyone to pick stocks directly. I'm all for index funds and the passive mutual funds. But if at all you want to pick stocks, the very practical rule of thumb is that you pick stocks which you see on every day, right?
Which you use every day.
Which you use every day. You wake up and you go to brush, you see Colgate. Right? You use it. So on an everyday basis, you wake up and you see, while you go to brush, you see a Colgate, right? So Colgate Palmolive is listed in the stock market, and you see Hammam soap while taking bath, and it belongs to HUL. It's owned by HUL. HUL is also in the stock market. So ippudi aarambicha in the concept. These days, what we do, we wake up and we see a Apple phone, right? And we get into Google or Facebook or Instagram. So people these days look at these US companies more. So they tend to romanticize the US stocks. But the thing is that US is an already developed country. So it had its time. It's still probably a pretty solid, not as solid as it used to be, but it's still a pretty good country. So you can still invest a very small amount. But for someone who is starting, India is the place of opportunities. We are still developing, right? So it still takes another 15-20 years for us to reach the US stock market size. So for someone who is starting, India should be a major focus, and apart from that, having exposure to US stock is obviously pretty good.
So talking about, coming back to the first point which I started the conversation with, the financial discipline. Today we are enforced to buy things. We are entitled to have this thing called I have this thing also. It's very openly, commonly cultured in such a way that social peer pressure nala we buy things, we accommodate ourselves in a very uncomfortable situation. So if I start to invest like 500 rupees per month, it would cost like ஒரு வருஷத்துக்கு almost என்னால ஒரு certain amount போட முடியும். அந்த amount compound ஆகி it will keep on multiplying for years and years and years. So why there is a lack of financial discipline in specifically minds of Indians? Why do you think that there is a lack of?
But I think it's a very good question. But basically Indians have historically been a very savings economy. I think Indian spending randomly is not the trend that over the period of time brands or anyone who's entered, it's very difficult to make an Indian spend, right? So compared to Western countries, we are a very savings oriented economy, right? So the issue is, it's not about savings as spending. The issue with Indians is savings as investing. So we don't want to spend, but that money we usually keep it in our banks or in our wardrobe, right? Locked inside. So but the issue is that you keep the money in your wardrobe. There's a robber who enters your house every day, which is called inflation. Whatever lock that you put, he'll just come in, sneak in, and without even knowing, you'll keep on losing your money every year. So 100 rupees if you keep today, the robber comes every day, and after 10 years if you see, the value of that 100% would be 40 rupees, right? The 60 rupees is gone. So the problem would be, getting our mindset to start investing, right? So apart from spending, I still think we Indians are very good in controlling our, spending capacities. We are still good with, we have seen how middle class houses have, we grew up in middle class households, right? So we are pretty good with managing our greed or, wanting to please someone. But that money that we are saving from not spending, we'll have to start investing. That's how you stop, beat the inflation and make your money also run along with you. Because how long will you alone keep running? You need more, like how Chitty 2.0, makes more robots to fight for him. You need more income streams and, you need more of Navneets to work for you. One Navneet is not enough, right?
Right, okay.
Beyond all this, so if you think if you're a person who is very gullible and you will fall for the social peer pressure and all that, ideally you shouldn't, but that will become preachy, right? So one thing that you can do is, for example, if you need a smartwatch, most of the times we won't even use it, but just because everyone is having it, you might also want it. So what I usually follow is, I'll add it to the cart and I'll wait for a week, right? I'll see if after a week I still need it. If I still have that, urge to buy it, then probably I need it for something. But by 1 week, I think about it, I think about other things that I want to buy. By the end of 1 week, if I feel, maybe it was just initial high because I saw my friend having it, I added it. By that 1 week, I'll be able to make up my mind if I want it or not. And then if it doesn't matter, I'll just remove it. So if you take my cart, there'll be 100 items which are in the wait list and in the cart. Right, so that is something which I use personally. If it helps, yeah.
So I have two questions to finalize the interview, the conversation. So my first question is, how viable or how easy is that to use a credit card rather than using a debit card? That would be the first question. The reason why I asked the question is, people still think that credit cards are really bad. They don't understand the value of using a credit card. So what are all the pros and cons behind using a credit card?
Exactly. So I might sound very philosophical, but everything in the world has its own share of pros and cons, right? Right. So a biker might meet with an accident. So scared of that, I can't sit at home saying, if I go out, I'll meet with an accident. But similarly, credit card has a lot of positives, right? It gives you a lot of reward points that you can use it for a lot of things, cashbacks, offers, a lot of times in Big Billion Day and Book My Show, everything that we do on daily basis, a lot of offers are there for the credit card. And if you're flying, if you're a frequent flyer, you can use the credit card to get into a lounge access, right? You can eat free food. So there are a lot of pros, but the con is that the greed, the usual human greed, right? So credit card gives you money that you don't have, right? So you tend to buy things which you don't want because you have money that you don't have, right? So you tend to buy things which you don't want. And then you buy that, and when time comes to pay back, you don't have money to pay it back, right? Because that's the money, you spent money that you don't have. So you won't be able to pay it back. So that's where problem arises. If you use a credit card and you pay it back within the period, which is 30 to 45 days, you have to pay absolutely 0% interest on it. I don't know if a lot of people know it. Usually people think, it's type of loan. So if any type of loan involves interest, right? But in credit card, for that 30 to 45 days, there's absolutely no interest. A lot of free cards are also available. So it's basically 0% loan that you're getting for 30 to 45 days with additional benefits. If used properly, I've been using credit card for 4 years. I have not paid a single late fee, and I have amassed close to 4 to 5 lakh reward points, which I can use for my foreign trips. I use that for my corporate travel and all that. So I spend for my corporate trips on my credit card. Back from the company, I reimburse it back, and the cashbacks that I get are over and above it. Right? So don't tell my company about this. But so this is how.
So it's an open kept secret.
Yeah. That's how credit cards work, right? So you use it properly, it's the best financial tool available. How I'll think of it is, I'll treat my credit card as my debit card. I see my bank account, how much do I have in my bank account? I have 20,000, then even though my limit in my credit card can be 1 lakh, I'll think, 20,000 is my limit. I won't spend above it. So even if I spend above that, I'll immediately pay it back, right? 30 to 45 is the maximum amount of time you can take. You can pay it back the next day also. So if at all I end up spending more, I immediately pay it back. So I treat it as my debit card, but I get the benefits of credit card.